Hello. Today we're gonna be talking about a rather old topic. When I'm recording this, it's about 2 weeks old. By the time that you're seeing it, add about a week. Yeah, it will be about a week from now that I'm gonna release this. There is a very good reason why I'm talking about this now, but I can't sneak in that reason until far further in this video. And I also have to talk around the reason in a way that would allow me to cut the reason out and still preserve the rest of the video in case it's needed. So, let's start from the old topic and we're gonna come back to why it's relevant in a little bit. Remember when Infold has given us swimsuits? And the swimsuits, they were dyeable. And you could dye the hip area fairly weird. Well, Chinese Nikki mothers, the ones that are very concerned with the modesty of it all, made sure to not only show their displeasure when it comes to the swimsuit. There's a major issue with the dye partitioning for this swimsuit. People on foreign sites are already using it to push the boundaries. But they also actually silently were reporting any stylings with the swimsuit being dyed on the Chinese servers because they can't really report it on the global servers. They're not on the global servers. So somebody that was on the Chinese servers posted this. Please don't make me get more annoying. Where their way of combating censorship was to spam the lookbook with the dyed swimsuit. This is a conversation on RedNote, and what these women are trying to say is don't mention anything online because RedNote is being tracked. Just silently report. Remember to report to customer service when you encounter this. Just report this kind of thing when you see it. I hope people don't go after the swimsuit. Also, let's protect the low saturation palette. The problem is the outfit. You shouldn't wear stockings and high heels with a swimsuit, nor should you wear metallic head accessories. I suggest everyone just report it directly and don't post it online yourself. This community is too complicated. It's pretty good and makes a big difference from my skin tone. I think the layering is great. It doesn't clash with my skin color at all. They don't want the peachy pink tone to be taken away. They see these kind of stylings as inappropriate, so they're reporting the stylings in order to not get the swimsuit censored and to not get the dye that kind of matches the Nikki skin tone taken away. But this has been old drama for the most part because, well, the swimsuit hasn't been altered and the only people that suffered their lookbook codes being taken away were people on the Chinese servers rather than people on global servers because, once again, that's where they were getting reported. For a secondary perspective, there was Chinese people coming to Reddit to say that it's not all Chinese people, which, yeah, we know. Chinese player's perspective, please don't be mad at the Chinese community over the swimsuit dye drama. Hi everyone, I'm a Chinese player. I totally get why global community is frustrated about potential censorship, but I want to clear up a major misunderstanding. The extreme Puritan views do not represent the majority of Chinese players. When I saw people using the dye system to create skin-toned or lingerie-style swimsuits, my first thought was, wow, that's incredibly creative. Out of curiosity, I searched the keywords on Jiangsu, RedNote myself. I barely saw any actual hate. Instead, I found many popular posts complaining about the oversensitive people. For example, in this screenshot, a Chinese player writes, "Some people are way too oversensitive. I was honestly looking forward to bikinis. Your complaints about it being borderline inappropriate ruined my expectations. Previous games like Love Nikki and Shining Nikki all had them, so why not Infinity Nikki? This is the real voice of the silent majority in China. The vast majority of us are just quietly enjoying the game, exploring and loving the die freedom just as much as you do. Unfortunately, some people are cherry-picking unhinged comments from tiny fraction of trolls to rage bait and farm traffic karma here on Reddit. Please don't fall for it. Infinity Nikki is supposed to be a cozy creative game. Let's not let a few loud extremists and drama farmers ruin the vibe. Keep sharing your amazing dye jobs. Now we're about far enough into the video where I can say why I'm bringing up the whole modesty thing again, when this obviously was something that has blown over. Swimsuits were not altered. You'll just have to go by my description, because this is not something that I can report on, despite the fact that it exists on Reddit. But let me describe. So, there were early preview pictures posted on some social media sites that we're not allowed to look at for the current top-up outfit. The first one, the cheaper one. And in the preview pictures posted by not so official people, about maybe like a day or two before the real ones came out, the cleavage was a lot bigger. What I'm trying to say is that it is obvious that these voices are influencing design decisions for this game. Now, it's very obvious that these kind of voices that go, this is immodest and this is inappropriate, and these dye channels are inappropriate, they are having an effect on the company, especially if the designs are getting altered just like a couple of days before getting actually revealed. And I don't like that. I feel like your rights as a person kinda end when you start maliciously impacting other people's lives and what they want to do and not do. Obviously, the original design for the top-up outfit was more cleavagey, but because we have an outraged Puritan mob, it means that the designers and the game directors are afraid to release it more cleavagey. And if they're afraid to release a top-up outfit that's more cleavagey, this kind of feeds into the idea that they might start being afraid to release banners that are more cleavagey, or swimsuits with funky dye channels, or I don't know, bikinis, because bikinis are 100% more cleavagey than the top-up outfit dress was. So this is where I want to revive the topic, and it sucks that I need to revive it with a picture that I cannot show, because I'm a content creator and info doesn't like that sort of thing. But if we need to revive the topic now, then we should actually have a conversation about it. One thing that we should converse about is, where is this actually coming from? Hence, cue this post, because it is important to actually understand the culture before you can comment anything about it, and problems don't tend to be a single-faced black and white sort of thing. Different people have different opinions and people clash over those opinions, so opinions and feelings and ways of doing should be honored and should be discussed and should be understood. Just sharing some insights from the Chinese player base regarding the bikini dyeing drama. Disclaimer, I have no intention of triggering any unnecessary political or social debates. that violates subreddit rules. However, this cultural context is essential to understanding why Chinese players are so anxious and fearful about the situation. Some of the topics mentioned might make you uncomfortable, so please feel free to click away at your own discretion. I'm just strictly explaining the gacha gaming culture here, not looking to debate real-world politics. Please do not post irrelevant or off-topic comments in this thread. Please don't repost my post anywhere. I'm just expressing my opinion relatively objectively. I don't want to cause any trouble. Please don't repost it to Red Notes. Don't ask me why I don't post it on Red Notes, because I'm sure I'll get criticized there, and my posts probably won't be able to be published either. Just quick surface level take from me. Definitely not trying to beef with anyone. Welcome to any peaceful discussions. Use Gemini to translate. I finished dinner, so I processed one of the replies I wrote before and put it in my main post. To understand drama, you first need to know how Chinese community categorizes the player base. We generally divide them into 3 groups. Nuoma. Those are the extreme Nikki fans. Mind you, I mean hardcore stans, not just casual players. Noir is derogatory, mocking mutation of Nuan, warm, born out of Chinese anonymous board culture. Those people constantly pick fights with players of competing games, believe that every single NPC must exist solely to serve Nikki, and are basically radical Nikki centrists. When rules are broken, they will attack everyone equally, including regular Nikki moms. Nuama is basically purified, toxic label born out of Chinese anonymous board culture. Nuanma, Nikki moms. To be honest, some of them don't actually treat Nikki like a literal daughter. It's just a product of Chinese fandom ecology, similar to how some fans view a character as a sister, friend, or family. They center their attention on Nikki and buy her merch, but they aren't toxic like Nuama, and rarely get into online drama. Casual players. These people don't really care about Nikki as a character. In other words, they wouldn't mind even if the protagonist was completely swapped out. They're just here because they find the gameplay itself fun. About bikini dyeing feature. As for this bikini dyeing controversy, it's actually deeply tied to China's unique feminist ecosystem. As we all know, feminism and its development look very different in every country. For example, in some ultra-conservative religious societies, taking off clothes women are forced to wear is a form of liberation. But on the Chinese internet, this type of feminism that goes viral is actually about not being sexy. It's heavily tied to China's specific societal context. It's honestly complicated, so I don't want to talk much deeper. You can do your own research. Let's look a little deeper. My DLC. China is rapidly becoming an atomized society. The tendency of Chinese women to desexualize themselves and reject flirty or revealing aesthetics is actually a defense mechanism, a defense wall built to demand respect as independent social entities rather than objects of desire. Today, young Chinese women face a double burden. They're expected to fight like men in a hyper-competitive corporate world while simultaneously fulfilling traditional expectations of submissiveness, beauty, and reproduction. When beauty and sexiness are constantly translated into workforce harassment, consumerist traps, or literal safety hazards, women's defense mechanism is simple. I'm opting out of this rigged game. This exact phenomenon, where heightened anxiety leads to intense policing of other women's clothing, mirrors the feminist sex wars in the US during 1970s and 1980s. The Chinese internet is currently going through a hyper-concentrated, compressed phase of the censorship. Because structural gender inequalities cannot be solved overnight and systemic frustrations have nowhere to go, collective anger is displaced into strict moral judgments on individuals. This is precisely why Chinese Nikki stans were so furious about the bikini dyeing feature. To them, free customization meant the bikini could be easily dyed into skin tones or provocative styles, opening the floodgates to the male gaze. Even though Nikki is a virtual character, Buddenfold markets her in a very feminist-friendly direction, which is rare in Chinese gaming industry. They viewed this feature not as player freedom, but as direct violation of female-centric safe space that Infold promised to maintain. Personally, I understand that bikini can be viewed as something tailored to the male gaze, but I still believe the world isn't that black or white, so I don't oppose it. That said, I definitely wouldn't share or promote my dyed bikini outfits in Chinese communities. It wouldn't it wouldn't just invite a lot of unnecessary trouble for me. Now, there is something to say about societal expectations of what a woman is supposed to look like or not supposed to look like, and the kind of actions and words that people use against women that don't fit the mold. I'm sort of lucky for having not fit majority of the mold for a lot of my life, honestly. I cut my hair short when I was 12, and that's how I kept it. Despite that, still landed a husband, still worked. It's Western society, so your appearance will impact a lot less than if you were in some very oppressive conservative places, or if you crumbled under social pressure way too easily, where other people telling you that you look weird have a bit more of a reach on you. There are religious communities where makeup and presentation is not an option, but it is something that's enforced. If I remember correctly, one Mormon leader at one point said that ladies should put a little makeup and make themselves look pretty as like an order to their religious congregation and to the Mormons at large. And I do know that there's like some very conservative places in America where that is taken very seriously, where a woman that exists in that area is supposed to fit a specific mold. She should be wearing prairie dresses, she should have blonde hair, it should be long, it should be a very specific style of wavy, she should be wearing a fake tan, she should be wearing makeup, she should get boob jobs, she should get skin procedures when her skin starts sagging, aka like an actual facelift. I am allowing myself to age, but that's not even like allowed in every single profession when it comes to women. If you're in Hollywood, choosing to look like yourself means that your agents will give you less and less work as time progresses. You're supposed to be frozen in like this weird plasticky 18-year-old mold even when you're 30 and 40, so that expectation doesn't just land on Chinese players, and it is entirely understandable when a whole culture decides that, the right counter to that is to dress baggy. I am pro-choice in majority of everything. As long as your choice doesn't directly hurt or assault others, you should be free to do with your life as you see fit. For example, makeup tends to be used both as a freedom and as a personal expression. I like using it as a personal expression. I tend to put a little lipstick on whenever I'm normally on camera. I tend to put some eyeshadow depending on how my skin is doing. So when it's summer, I often will just shoot with glasses because I feel like it frames my face. Normally I just need them for long distances, but it's a fun thing to do on camera. Mostly I do that because I feel like I look a little blank and a little washed out whenever I'm in front of a screen without it. Sometimes, mind you, Mirta most often does not go to any events, but if I were, let's say I was younger, I was a teenager again, and I went to a rock concert, you bet your ass I would be wearing my colors, my accessories, I would be wearing heavy makeup, because it's fun. It's like personal expression. So I'm all for people using it as personal expression. What I don't like it used, and this is kind of the reason why I'm sitting barefaced today, as kind of a sign of solidarity, but just like using a different angle on the same topic. I don't like it used when it's seen as something that a woman has to do in order to look presentable. Where a man only needs to keep clean, a woman is not only expected to keep clean, she is expected to use face paint, effectively, to paint on a different face to be more societally acceptable. That is the kind of makeup use that I don't approve of and that I don't like. It doesn't matter whether it comes with actual repercussions or just very strict societal pressure, so I get it. I absolutely do, and once again, kind of the reason why I made an exception in filming this bareface today. However, the way that I see it, your rights end where other people begin. And by that, I don't mean if the majority consensus is that you're supposed to look a certain way, is that you're supposed to look a certain way. What I mean by that is that you shouldn't be able to enforce your dressing standards upon others. It doesn't matter if it's like in real life or a video game. You can choose to desexualize yourself and still accept that some people will purposely sexualize themselves and that they're fine with it. You can choose to dress your character in a way that's modest and that is covering, and you can just wear beachwear as beachwear and nothing else. However, you shouldn't really be able to get to a point where you get to order other people around for how they're using their beachwear in a video game. If they want to use it as a superhero outfit, why not? If they want to pretend that they're a wrestler, why not? If they're wanting to pretend that it's a saucy lingerie, why not? It's creativity that's kind of on the person, and you don't get to become this internet police just because of how you perceive this action. What I obviously really don't like is that these kind of attitudes, they do influence development and they do influence the kind of items that we get and how these items are presented. And that's my biggest fear. My biggest fear is that very adamant voices will get to diminish other players' creativity and also developers' creativity when it comes to making outfits. And we're gonna have a far more Puritan existence, I suppose, or rather fashion that's a lot less wide and a lot more narrow and focused on very specific themes. That's not something that I ever want to happen. So, how to tackle this? As we can't talk about pictures that we have never supposed to have seen, I do suggest switching to incredibly toxic positivity and mentioning it on surveys. Quite specifically, go, oh, I really loved that swimsuits dye channels. Can we have some more of this? That was great. Or I love how Born Flawless looks. Oh, it's really my style. If only we can get more banners like these. Oh, the West will go crazy, man. We're gonna spend so much money. Talk money to a company that likes money, and hopefully if we can all amplify our voices to be on the same level as these opposing ones, we can preserve the freedom of fashion without directly talking about any kind of points that we were never supposed to be privy to or never were supposed to see. So yeah, that's exactly how I'm gonna phrase this. Thank you all for watching. Feel free to discuss swimsuits down in the comment section down below. Also censorship, but in vague details, please. In a way that it might not be picked up. I feel like I sometimes get away with saying some things that I shouldn't get away, and I feel like I'm walking a tightrope very often. I don't want to lose the things that I have, but at the same time, when there are topics that are bugging me, I do want to be able to express them to my own community. So this is me expressing a topic that I think we should really, really have needed to talk about. Thank you for listening. Thank you so much for my Patreon supporters, and toodaloo for now.